I want to read a Spencer Dinwiddie quote. This is something he said after you got hired. He said, quote, "Coaching at this level, especially with the talent that we have, it's like 80% psychologist, 10% temperament, 10% X's and O's. It's mostly about managing the egos." So how do you feel about that breakdown of his? And also just how are you sort of framing your mindset about how you're going to coach this team?
I mean, I think he's right. Who knows what those numbers and breakdowns are, but the job is about connectivity, creating relationships of, whatever the personalities in that room add up to and how the puzzle fits and, gaining that trust, especially I think in this generation. When I came in the league, it was a lot more like an authoritarian position being a coach, and this is how we're doing it. And those days are long gone, the world has changed and guys playing in the league now, it's a different generation who've had different experiences and upbringing. So I think it's really important to, really double down on those relationships and build that culture. Culture is a system of behaviors. So setting the standard for how we're going to behave, what's important to us, who are we, what are our values, all those kind of, ad speaky, self-help books, but there's truth to it. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you're going to do. So I think for me, I wasn't hired to come in and be a tactical wizard. I think they understand that my acumen for the game is strong and that I can catch up on any of the technical aspects. But I think they hire me because I have the experience and the personality to work with these guys and to be able to help them grow, reach their potential, and bring it all together. So I can't lose sight of that. I can't come in and start being Mr. X's and O's and lose sight of the fact that, yeah, of course I want to be strong in all departments, but I have to lead with my understanding and of group dynamics, leading, going through the experience that these guys are going through. I've been there. And that I think is key, especially when you have a team with the roster that we have that has a lot of moving parts, guys coming off injury, guys who haven't played together, guys that are still developing. So I think I got to lead with why I was brought here and what they saw in me and catch up in the other departments.
So one of the biggest challenges, I think, for the modern NBA coach, you use the word authoritarian. And for me, I think the biggest challenge is establishing accountability without being the authoritarian, because it's a different generation of players. It's a different generation of culture that we've been brought up in. But I still think there's so much value in accountability. And that to me is the hardest part, and I've seen it time and time again in my career, where that has sort of altered team chemistry because somebody's being held to a different standard than someone else.
I mean, it's a great point. I mean, look, there's levels to this, right? Like you're not going to treat every player the same, but there has to be a standard and understanding, a system of beliefs and behaviors, and so getting us to have that standard has to be a common and clear and simple message. Like, this is how we operate. And, I look at it in some ways. I think as a coach, one of the greatest strengths of a coach is honesty, and so I look at it as being cold and analytical with the basketball information and being, warm, supportive, and a family member with the person. So that's the way I kind of approach it, is cold and analytical. It's nothing personal. This is what I see. This is what the numbers say. This is what the film says. As far as the game goes, that doesn't mean that you can't get here, there, wherever you want to go, and we'll support you getting there. So we're cold and analytical with the information, but we're warm and supporting, the person. So I think that's really important. I think that ability to not shirk the responsibility of being honest, clear, simple, honest, that's so, as you've seen it, you just alluded to it. When that doesn't happen, fissures and gaps and cancers and whatever you want to call it form in a group, and you got to avoid that, because that can be the downfall of the best teams.